Thank you for joining us. I am Victor Azu.
And I'm Adimola Adeoye. We are live on the network service of the NTA. Comfort Amodu is standing by with the news. Thereafter, we'll bring you the newspaper review. Comfort is over to you.
Good morning, Ademola and Victor. Good morning, Nigerians. Our President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has appointed Shamsuddin Babatunde Ogunjimi as the new Accountant General of the Federation after a rigorous selection process. His appointment Tuesday takes effect from 7th March 2025. The same day, the incumbent Oluwatoyin Madeyin retired. Ogunjimi, 57, was first named as Madeyin's successor last December. A statement by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy. A selection committee later chose him through a competitive, rigorous, and merit-based process involving directors of accounts in the Federal Civil Service. The committee conducted the process through 3 stages: a written assessment, an ICT proficiency test, and oral interviews. Ogunjimi graduated from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1990 with a Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. He also obtained a Master's in Accounting and Finance from the University of Lagos. He is a Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Taxation in Nigeria. The Kaduna State government will continue to adopt the non-kinetic approach of ending insecurity in the state. The state governor, Obasani, stated this during the ceremony of reuniting about 59 kidnapped victims recently released through the joint effort of Kaduna State government, the Office of the National Security Advisor, and security agencies to their families. And in light of recent reports alleging that retired Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, David Paradan, was kidnapped and subsequently killed, the FCT police says Paradan was found dead at a location in Area 3 by a military officer concerned for his well-being, who traced him to the location, and upon arrival, the officer proceeded to where Mr. Paradan was found dead, seated in a car. The Durumi police station was notified and officers promptly arrived at the scene, secured the area, took photographs, and collected all relevant evidence to preserve the integrity of the crime scene. The body has been transferred to the National Hospital for necessary procedures, and staff at the location are currently cooperating with police investigations. Efforts in the top gear to effect the arrest of the last visitor to the location before he was found dead. And members of the public are urged to avail the police with information, while media outlets are advised to refrain from spreading unverified information, including claims of kidnapping that may incite fear or panic. And the FCT Police Command is committed to conducting a thorough investigation to uncover the circumstances surrounding Paradan's death. The Inspector General Police has officially flagged off 12 Million Champions mobilization campaign in Abuja, an initiative aimed at enhancing the value of Nigerian women through the agricultural value chain. And the campaign, organized by the wife of the IGP for spouses of police officers in collaboration with UNESCO, is in commemoration of the United Nations 2025 International Women's Day. In other news, Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa has earned a recall to the national team as head coach Eric Chelle released a provisional list of 39 players for this month's crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. Musa, who last featured for the Super Eagles before their silver winning campaign at the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, headlines the provisional squad released by a newly appointed head coach. The list was released on Tuesday by the Nigerian Football Federation, and coach Eric has named goalkeepers Stanley Nwabali and Adeleye Adebayo, Defenders William Akon, Calvin Bassey, and Olaoluwa Aino. Midfielders Alex Iwobi and Wilfred Ndidi, and forwards Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen and Simon Moses in the squad as Nigeria looks to revive its qualification hopes. And Nigeria fifth on the Group C log behind Rwanda, South Africa, Benin Republic and Lesotho. Scored up to leaders Mavubi of Rwanda in Kigali on Tuesday, 21st March. Before taking on Zimbabwe's Warriors at the Goswill Akpabio Stadium, Uyo, 4 days later. That's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Ademola and Victor after the break.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary health care center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن.
Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and Voice of Nigeria, Bonn, cordially invite the general public to its 19th annual Ramadan lecture. Topic: Faith, Politics and Power, the involvement of ulama in politics and its implications. Guest lecturer, Sheikh Mauroof Onike Abdulaziz, Chief Missioner, NASFAT Worldwide. Chairman of the occasion, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Minister of Livestock Development. Special guest of honor, Muhammad Idris, Minister of Information and National Orientation. Royal Father of the Day, His Highness Mala Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, Emir of Zazzau. Chief host, His Excellency Malang Ubasani, the Executive Governor, Kaduna State. Host, Malan Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, Director General, NTA. Dr. Muhammad Bulama, Director General, FRCN. Malan Jibril Babandachi, Director General, Voice of Nigeria. Venue, Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Close, off Jabi Road East, off Sultan Road, Kaduna. Date 8 March 2025. Time 9 a.m. Inshallah. For partnership or advert placement. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
What wakes you up in the morning? Is it the sunrise? Is it the alarm? No. It's your dream that wakes you every day. It's what drives you like a powerful engine. That's why you start strong every day with the rich, creamy taste of Nescafe 3-in-1, carefully crafted from selected coffee beans. You're on your hustle, and you won't stop until you succeed. Start strong. Finish strong.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Milo Snacks, snack of future champions. Milo!
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Sunana Safiya Ismail, ni daga Gwagwalada Area Council a karkashin Giri. Ina da yara 7 da mijina. Sana'ana sadda itace. Akwai damuwomi da yawa. Rashin kudi da musanta zaka ga itace zai kare ba kudi ne zaka siya wani. An kira ni ayi Safiya Ismail nace yes, come for your benefits at Angondo do Gwagwalada. Suka bani ATM din immediately na withdraw kudi na. Amma gaskiya kudin ya zo at the right time.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
All right, and up next on Good Morning Nigeria is newspaper review. Stay with us.
Our newspaper reviewer, Chukudi Okoli Waja, is here. Chuks, what woke you up this morning?
My dream. You think my ears were not working when the advertorial, the promo played? And that's the truth. It's those little panics, in quotes, of life that actually keep you agile. That's it. They come together and become an alarm clock. Except if you are the kind of person who is laid back. Those dreams will keep waking you up.
All right,
it's healthy. You pursue your dream.
Yes. I wish you many more dreams. But let's dig into the papers. I have the leadership to begin with. And the lead story here reads, Natasha Akpabio saga, Northern-Southern leaders in sentimental war. That's on page 7, and it has 2 riders. Allegation plot to remove Tinubu in 2027. That's according to Pandev. And only Northern senators are being victimized. That's according to the ACF, Arawa Consultative Forum. All right, away from that, Nigeria secures $50.8 billion investment to strengthen global trade. You get details of that on page 7. And above the nameplate, ex-immigration CG Paradang found dead in Abuja hotel. That story is on page 24. And reps ask MultiChoice to reverse subscription hike, page 7. And to the right, in the little boxes on the right of the leadership, 16 burnt to death in Ogun Road crash, page 28. Trump's tariff on China, Mexico, Canada takes effect, page 30. National Assembly positioning Nigeria for $1 trillion economy by 2030, page 24. And finally, Shamsuddin Ogunjimi appointed Accountant General. That story is on page 8. And we move to the blueprint. Of course, the blueprint also has the Paradang story just above the nameplate. Body of ex-immigration CG Paradang found in Abuja hotel. That's credited to the police. And that's on page 6. And the lead story here reads, Tinubu trips attracted $50 billion foreign investments. That's according to minister. And projects 30% return on investment contribution to GDP by 2030. 2025 budget roadmap for economic resilience, progress. That's credited to Idris, Minister of Information. And below the nameplate, NOA, NIALS, partner on legal research value orientation. That's on page 13. And in sports, World Cup, Chile names Ekong, Lukman, Osimhen, 36 others for Rwanda, Zimbabwe Crackers. That story is on page 32. And towards the bottom of the front page of the blueprint, 106 new Nigerian newspapers staffers died awaiting benefits. That's according to Union. Begs Northern Governors Forum for intervention. And Khan rejects call for Akpabio's resignation, urges reconciliation, page 16. Ramadan, Sheyi Tinubu breaks fast in Kano, launches feeding program, page 9. And at last, Ogunjimi emerges Accountant General of the Federation, page 7. Just before I bring in Demola, Nigeria signs 7.6 billion euros clean energy deal with China. That one is on page 20. Demola.
All right, thank you, Victor. I have the Daily Trust newspaper with me. And just below the nameplate, police narrate how ex-immigration CG Paradang died. Details on page 8. EFCC arrest ex-Akwa Ibom Governor Udom. Details on page 31. Boko Haram insurgents kill police inspectors' sons in Yobe. Details of the story can be found on page 6. We have these, the headline, Killings of Northern Drivers in Southeast Unacceptable, ACF. Urges federal government to tame attacks, demands compensation for victims. DSS invites Daily Trust reporters over story. The details of that story can be found on page 4. Then we have Tinubu appoints Ogunjimi as AGF. Details on page 28. And a 20-year-old man allegedly beats mother to death. Details of that story can be found on page 21. We are not enemies. Shekarau speaks on relationship with Kwankwanso. Details of that story can be found on page 13. 22 die in Ogun, Kogi, or your auto crashes. Details of the story can be found on page 6. Then we have the picture. Truck drivers in Jos protesting against killing and destruction of their trucks in Southeast on Sunday. Chooks.
Thank you, Demola. Congratulations to Shamsuddin Babatunde Ogunjimi. But the most important thing is that the Accountant General helps us hold politicians to account, helps us hold career civil servants to account and all that. That's what we should be concentrating more on. But for now, we just congratulate the incumbent. Now, I like that piece on, the killing of northern drivers in the southeast for the fact that it helps us bring to focus how we should not think about some of these things. Remember when Boko Haram started their onslaught, churches were being bombed and all that. It was to create division so that Christians would start fighting Muslims. Then presidents, right from Goodluck Jonathan into Buhari now, were always telling the people, is there rules to bring heads together? The killings in the southeast, please, nobody is saying that the killing of northern drivers should be condoned. The life of every Nigerian is precious to us. But when they do that, they are also trying to instigate a war between the northern people there and the people in the southeast. You ask yourself, are Southeasterners free from what these people are doing as well? You know, so it is important to us as journalists that Nigerians are not beguiled into thinking that one section of the country is, no, that is what they want you to. Very important. We have to be very careful about that.
That's where responsive journalism comes in.
Thank you, Demola. That's where the likes of Chukudi and Demola want to stay and probably live the rest of their lives in the newsroom so we can stabilize editorial content. Jay! I hope my mother is watching TV. Reps are asking MultiChoice to reverse subscription hike. I am fully in deep with them on this, because it doesn't quite make sense.
I know it gladdens your heart because you know you discussed it. Something last week.
7-1 yesterday, but that's not why we're here. Arsenal is great. Body of former Immigration Controller General found in Abuja Hotel. The focus shouldn't be on where location of his death. Whether it was on the premises, whether it was in the bedroom and all that. Accuracy is required in journalism. We call it FAIB, factuality, fairness, accuracy, objectivity, and balance. So it matters that we report accurately. But the most important thing is, was it homicide or was it death by natural causes? The police have a job to do. That's what we should concentrate on more than anything else.
And they say they're doing that.
They're doing exactly that. They would.
If you read their report, you will find out that at least the man sat down in his chair in the hotel room and probably could be heart failure.
A lot of things can kill a man, really.
Yeah.
My father died of heart failure, eventually, heart block, really. He needed a pacemaker. We couldn't make it. So I know what you're talking about. Anything could kill a man.
It's unfortunate.
Carry out thorough investigation so that we don't throw a red herring on the trail.
It's unfortunate. He was a gentleman. The little I know of him, I worked with him as immigration correspondent, but
you did.
I didn't quite work with him, but spoken with him a few times, whether on phone or met him in person. He had this soft carriage, soft spoken. He was a gentleman.
Yes.
He was a gentleman.
I deliberately avoid Natasha Akpabio because, first of all, I am one of those journalists. I'm very conservative. There are things you don't bring to national attention. The most important thing to me there is where the rules of engagement, let me call it that, the rules of the Senate violated, and was there action to correct it. Every other thing they are saying, this one happened, they were family, friends, we're not interested. Journalism in Nigeria has to reposition itself to get away from banality. It is very important that you concentrate on that which pays the electorate. But when I see social media, very senior journalists are debating whether they are friends and all that, I say, well, Chukudi never gets into that turf. The most important
that's
thing
what interests the people more.
That is why some of us broadcasters have become activists.
That is
so that we secure 1 million likes.
Unfortunately.
I don't care whether I get 1 or 2, 10 likes. The important thing is that journalism does not invite, things that are not supposed to be on the turf. It's serious business.
It is.
So what we should be telling Natasha and Akpabio is, beyond the rules of the Senate, whether they were impugned or not, we don't want to hear any other thing. It would amount to, there's something that is called wasting police time. You tell them a crime has been committed, they find out that you actually were deceiving them. They could take you in for wasting police time. So also do I think that there is such a thing as wasting the electorate's time. So let's concentrate on substance. Let them settle whatever is happening beyond the rules of the Senate, which must be obeyed. I think it matters how Nigerian journalists respond to things that happen. Let's concentrate on substance so that we do not waste people's time. My opinion.
Your opinion.
There's an opinion in the Daily Trust by Vincent Wanma. The title is Petrol Price Wars to Intensify as Market Emerges from Debris of Chaos. I like the war. By 2026, we'll be talking about 650 naira per liter. Mark my words.
Now it's like 880.
880. It's coming. Bua has not commissioned their Akwa Ibom refinery. They're still building. When they do commission, there will be more.
And there is a hint that even Elumelu wants to go into it as well.
It's a very lucrative area. Even as the world tries to go green, they know that Black Africa will take a little more time. So petrol sales would pay people for some time.
My folks in Delta buy for way more than it's something.
Why is it so?
Well, that's the explanation. That's the explanation you may want to get. You look at the Abuja price, but elsewhere, what's the cost? 900 and, I begin to wonder why that disparity. And in a state, for instance, that itself is oil-bearing. So you begin to wonder why.
I understand,
folks buy
dear.
for 900 plus.
When I worked for Minaj, Bosi then, it was a big problem for me understanding why fuel never sold at the official price in the southeast.
Okay, Chooks, that's a question that, we have to find out. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you so much. I feel good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
The Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during internment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The NTA2 Lagos Network Center Muslim community most respectfully invite you to the 12th annual Malam Yusuf Jubul Ramadan Lecture. Venue, NTA2 Lagos Network Center premises, Television House, Ahmadu Bellowe, Victoria Island, Lagos. Date, 2nd Saturday in the month of Ramadan, March 8th, 2025. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Chief host, Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, Director General, Nigerian Television Authority. Principal host, Nick Onyishi, Zonal Director, NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Spiritual Father of the Day, Sheikh Suleiman Abunola, Chief Imam of Lagos. Chairman of the Day, Alhaji Abdul Latif Femi Okunu, former National President, Ansaruddin Society of Nigeria. Guest Lecturer, Professor Abdul Kabir Olawale Paramole. Professor of Hadith, Islamic Ethics, Comparative Religion, and Contemporary Studies, Lagos State University, Ojo, and Chief Missionary, Jejewiyat Muslim Association of Nigeria and Overseas. Topic, Muslims and the Economic Realities of Nigeria. Guest Lecturer 2, Alhaji Salmon Abiodun Sani, Chief Imam, Akimboro Central Mosque, Olorunshogo, Mushin, Lagos. Topic, Islamic Parenting, Antidotes to Social Challenges in Nigeria. We look forward to receiving your usual considerable response to grace the occasion. For inquiries, call 08030629590 or 08039642121.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet comes with the nutrients they need every day. Made from natural grains, contains protein and fortified with iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear you call us. We stand down in demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we have more than just a nation. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strength in unity, we know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Nigeria is perched on a treasure trove of solid minerals. Gold, coal, tantalum, tin, but none is more critical to our future or the world's future like lithium.
Let's talk about illegal mining operations. What is our strategy?
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Before we bring in our guests to speak on healthcare coverage through medical collaborations, let's take this background report by Ibrahim Dan Hamidu.
Nigeria's healthcare system faces significant challenges, including inadequate funding, insufficient medical personnel, and limited access to specialized care. These gaps have led to a surge in medical tourism, with many Nigerians traveling abroad to seek medical attention. However, initiatives like the National Hospital Surgical Outreach Program are helping to reverse this trend. In a bid to improve access to quality healthcare services, the National Hospital in Abuja recently embarked on a surgical outreach program, offering free surgeries to Nigerians. This initiative is part of a broader effort to bridge the gap in Nigeria's healthcare system. By providing free surgeries, many organizations and hospitals like the National Hospital are not only improving the health outcomes of Nigerians, but also reducing the financial burden associated with seeking medical care abroad. This initiative also builds confidence in the country's healthcare system, demonstrating that Nigeria has the capacity to provide quality medical care. Furthermore, such outreach programs help identify and address the root causes of health disparities in Nigeria. By providing access to specialized care, These initiatives can help reduce the prevalence of treatable conditions, improving overall health outcomes and reducing the need for medical tourism. Experts on the program will discuss how free surgical outreaches like the one conducted by the National Hospital can be replicated and scaled up to address the healthcare needs of Nigerians, reducing the reliance on medical tourism and strengthening the country's healthcare system.
All right, many thanks, Ibrahim Hamidu, for that background report. And to begin our conversation on medical collaborations, let me introduce right here in the studio Professor Muhammad Raji Mahmood, Chief Medical Director, National Hospital Abuja. A pleasure to welcome you back to Good Morning Nigeria.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Let me also introduce here in the studio Ayodeji Salman Yusuf, Chairman, Sakina Medical Outreach and Head of Department Neurosurgery at the National Hospital Abuja. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Also in the studio, we have Dr. Salawu Morayo, Consultant Anesthetist, National Hospital Abuja. Dr. Morayo, you are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right. So let's just kickstart our conversation this morning with Prof. Raji Mahmood. Can you give us, a better explanation when we talk about medical collaboration? What exactly are you talking about? How you been able to fill in the gaps?
Okay, thank you so much for this question, and thanks so much for having us once again here in this studio. It's always a pleasure. A man or an institution can never survive as an island. So it's a rule in life that if you really want to prosper, if you really want to go far, if you really want to extend your reach, then you have to collaborate. Germination of ideas, skills, and efforts always improves many folds. So that's the whole essence of this. We've discovered that in our country, Nigeria, yes, we have very reputable and highly skilled manpower, and we have, to a very large extent, institutions that have some good skills. But then with these people flying out of the country as medical staff, and also the lack of confidence of some Nigerians in our own healthcare system, it's always good to really bring in innovative means to really change that mindset and paradigm. So that's the whole essence of having such a collaboration. In this case, what happened was Sakina Foundation, as well as some organizations from the UK, came together, and we collaborated with them to give some certain specialized healthcare. What's different with this particular event is that it's not the usual outreaches that you just do minor surgeries or minor treatment of, treating diseases that were just minor. These were really highly skilled, highly equipped procedures that were done.
Like?
Minimally invasive surgeries, where you could go take out a kidney stone, multiple kidney stones, through a very tiny hole that you just puncture through this using a camera and some very specialized equipment. It demands not only the equipment, but highly skilled individuals to do this. So by doing so, we were able to, one, treat the patients. Two, we were also able to train some of our own domestic doctors, nurses, and other healthcare staff by getting them exposed. There were some of these procedures that we have done that we will say are, at least to be conservative, about the first in Abuja, if not in the whole country. And there are multiple of, I think about 160 cases were done within a week. So it's quite huge. And it actually beat our expectation, because our expectation was, frankly, we thought it would not be more than 5 to 10 cases that could be done within that 1 week. Eventually, we ended up doing about 160 cases. So it was a huge, huge success for the whole country, not only for the National Hospital, because a number of people were touched. And then one of the good things about it was that it was done free. The collaborators were able to find funding for that program. And National Hospital will not take the full credit of that. The credit has to go to them. And when they came, they were able to also leave behind some highly specialized equipment for us to keep using.
How were you able to achieve that huge number, 160 cases, in just 1 week?
I think the process started a bit early, and there was some very, very good advertisement. And I must give credit to Dr. Yusuf Salman and the rest of the team. They were able to reach out to other doctors who treat such patients. So from all around the country, we were able to have patients trooping in. So, and I'm sure he will tell us more about this. Even their transportation, their feeding was taken care of by that program. So it was quite an outstanding program, actually.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Mahmood. Now, Dr. Yusuf, you oversee both a department, a hospital department, and then the medical outreach. What are the biggest gaps in healthcare, that the outreach programs such as this address?
Okay, thank you for having us this morning. And to go straight to the question, the medical outreaches that we undertake across the country looks at gaps in terms of personnel in some area that can take care of these medical conditions. We also look at facilities in many of the healthcare institutions that may not be available. And more so importantly, many of our patients pay out of pocket. And because of the health insurance coverage in Nigeria is still a little low, so it becomes very difficult for some patients to afford this treatment, even though they need it. Even though sometimes the treatment and the personnel and the facility may be available, but if patient cannot pay, they will still not be able to access. So what we do in Sekina Medical Outreach is to look at this group of patients that cannot afford their treatment. We do individual interventions in hospitals, in communities, and we do outreaches to bring in specialists from within Nigeria and sometimes outside Nigeria, so that this group of patients in particular, who cannot afford to travel out of the country or who facility is not available to take care of particular disease they have. So we look after them. We give our own experts, both locally in Nigeria and sometimes outside. The particular event that took place in National Hospital about a week plus ago was a collaborative action intervention between Sekina Medical Outreach and medics across continent, which is a UK registered charity organization, and in collaboration with National Hospital. We looked at special area of urology. Urology is the area that deals with the diseases, surgical disease of the kidney, urethra, and the bladder urinary system. And we look at the common element that people tend not to have access to their treatment, like kidney stones and prostate diseases, urethral strictures. And so those are the main area, so that we look at doing this minimally invasively. That is, instead of opening the patient up, we'll do a keyhole access. The advantage of this is that it's less painful, it's less traumatic, and patient recovery is very fast. Now, why do we need to bring experts from outside the country to do this? There are two reasons why we need to do that. The availability of this specialized equipment in most of our institutions lacking. Two, even though we have experts in some select area, they are not widespread. So we provide this opportunity for patients who cannot afford this. They've been seeing doctors that have been told they need surgery, but they cannot pay for it, or the surgical technique is not available. So we contacted medics across the country. We look at the requirements and what we need to do. We did a budget on it, and then we will target 100 patients actually to do within a week. But we were able to do more than 100 interventions within that. How is that possible? Is that we use our urologist unit of National Hospital. The consultants reach out to other consultants, other hospitals. These patients have been seeing doctors in those other hospitals, but maybe because the facility was not available or the patient could not pay. Many of our patients are not under insurance. So we have a pool of them. They are screened and they are certified fit for eye skin intervention. And our collaborative medics across country came with experts in the specific area of that surgical interventions. Those are accomplished experts from UK and from Pakistan that came. So the program started on a Sunday. Surgery started on a Sunday, 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m. We are running multiple theaters. Okay. So in the day we can...
Simultaneously?
Yes, simultaneously, multiple. I think we will engage 6 operating suites for that week without actually disrupting the hospital operation, because there are other suites that were being used for emergencies and other elective cases. But the hospital allow us to use at the 6. So 6 operating suites were running concurrently. And in a day, we do like 20, 25 as the case complexity. So what we did percutaneous kidney stone removal, laparoscopy, kidney disease surgery, transurethral resection of the prostate, laparoscopy, cholecystectomy, and we do transfemoral. So we also did a brain surgery within the period. Wow. Transfemoral, yes, pituitary surgery was also done. So many of these surgeries were actually high-tech and highly specialized. However, within the same period, we also give allowance for some moderate cases like hernia surgery, lipoma surgery, but the main focus was the high-tech, minimally invasive surgery. It gives the patient that benefit of access to the surgery. It also provides, as my chief medical director have said, training for our young consultants and the residents who otherwise will have traveled out for workshop, and so we have brought these experts and training home. So this, we tend not to do a once-off program. It's like going to be a continuous exercise so that we can develop local manpower, and also doing that we'll be able to identify equipment gap in our institution that we can fill. And so once we have the equipment, we have people who can use it, then the pressure of going out of the country it will be less. Yes.
But your partners, is it so? Your partners came with both funding, they came with equipment, and then manpower, all threefold.
Okay, so it was a collaboration between the local and the foreign partner. The funding was shared between Sekino Medical Outreach and the medics across the country. So it was a shared, but they came with experts funded by themselves. They have traveled, while we also, and then they came with, we have some equipment in National Hospital already, but the gap, the area where we don't have for the minimally invasive surgery, they came with those and some materials. And when they were going, they left some of these equipment for us as a donation so that we can continue to do this program. And then they have also offered training for our residents and young consultants who can then go to UK and with this window of collaboration with National Hospital support, and so the patient, the doctors, the nurses, and other support staff who have seen this thing done physically they go to get more exposure and come back to continue the practice in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf. Let's bring in Dr. Morayo into this conversation now. I'm sure you also took part in the collaboration exercise. Tell us what areas, how do you decide on what areas you should focus on? And also, I want to find out this collaboration, how would do you think it will really address the shortages, that we experience when it comes to healthcare professionals in the country?
All right, thank you very much. How we were able to support her, I'm a consultant anesthetist. I will first of all say anesthetists are endangered species. We are not many, in fact, all over the world. And for any surgery to take place, there must be anesthetists that will make the surgery to be pain-free, for the patient to be asleep, or there's some procedure we do so that the surgery can go on, very well and make with the patient comfortable, with the surgeon also comfortable. So our expertise came in when the surgery, we selected cases that are fit, patients that have been scheduled for surgery but they couldn't afford it because either the money is not there, the funding is not there, or the high-tech expertise is not available. So we pulled all these patients together, and they came with 2 anesthetists, and then the anesthetist in National Hospital, I spearhead them with some of my residents to provide anesthetic services for these patients. So going forward, our residents too and other consultants too were able to see how these surgeries are being done and anesthetic services to be given for them to have the surgery done. Okay. So it's a collaboration that is, we hope will continue so that many of our patients can benefit from it, and it will give hope to our citizens that Nigeria can do something for them.
Okay, it will give hope. The second part of my question is this, because he talked about the issue of, shortages of healthcare professionals and equipment and supplies. Do you think this collaboration will also help to, tackle, these challenges that we are facing in the healthcare sector?
Yes, it will, because when surgery like this are being carried out, high-skilled, high-tech surgery, they come with some of their expertise, and also we provide our own local expertise too. And then our residents will get to see all these cases, and they get to partake in them. So it will help in making, it can even reverse some brain drain, because when this high-tech surgery can be done in Nigeria, some anesthetists or even surgeons that want to jackpot or go abroad, we have calls for them to stay back and do these high-tech surgeries and provide anesthesia services for them. So with this collaboration, even our people that are abroad, they can come back to give to the country, to give to the society what they have learned, what they have acquired, their expertise and technical skills, surgical skills. Okay. Give this to our patients, and it will overall lead to general improvement in the healthcare of Nigerian citizens.
Okay. All right, Dr. Salau, thank you very much. We'll get back to you. Now, Dr. Mahmood, given this experience and perhaps others like it, what's your assessment of Nigeria's progress in healthcare accessibility and affordability?
Yeah, let's first talk about access before affordability. Nigerians' access to healthcare has significantly improved in the last couple of years. I will tell you, since the coming of this administration, a number of such things have improved significantly. I'm not saying this because I'm a CMD, but I'm a witness. Before becoming a CMD, I am first a doctor. I'm a neurosurgeon. I will tell you that when we are talking about that brain drain and brain gain and whatever, I have received patients that have come from the US, from the UK, from Canada, from the Middle East, and from some parts of Africa to come and access care from me and my other colleagues. So that's to tell you that, at least in the last couple of years, confidence has started coming back onto the African country, onto the Nigerian healthcare system. But that is usually focused on an individual. But now, with the coming of this administration, I would say, there's an increased funding, most especially from what we have seen in this 2024 and 2025 budgets. There's increased funding in the healthcare sector. And what will this do? Already from the 2024 budget, a lot of equipment have started coming into the country, onto our healthcare facilities.
Okay.
In a year or two, you would see that impact significantly, positively. So access to healthcare would be much more improved. As it is now, it has improved, but we are hoping for higher. Then when it comes to affordability, healthcare, we must know, is actually not a cheap thing. Healthcare service, wherever it is you are in the world. There was this when you go to some of these Western countries, that the US, the UK, anybody who on his own accesses healthcare will tell you how expensive healthcare service is. But the good thing with some of those areas is that there is a social health system that at least is a pool of fund that allows everybody to access healthcare. We have something like that in Nigeria, that's the NHIA. And I must say that also they are trying to improve the percentage of Nigerians that join that particular process. Unfortunately, up till now, the percentage of reach is not good enough. Even the largest number of people that really enjoy NHIA are public servants, mainly employed by the federal government. State governments have not keyed in so much into that.
Okay.
And when you see people who are outside the formal sector, very, very few of them actually are able to get into the system. I can't say exactly what the problem is because I've never worked with NHIS or NHIA, but I think we need to educate people, most especially down to the grassroots. Some state governments, I think, would need to also key into the NHIA, which is the federal government system, so as to make it more robust. The more people that join NHIA, the more the amounts they will have to disburse. And then also the funding or reimbursement of hospitals by the NHIA needs to improve. Up until a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two ago, there has not been a change in the tariffs by the NHIA for several years. So that has made it a bit difficult for hospitals to really operate the system efficiently. So there's a significant wide gap that needs to be closed. I think now they're trying to address that issue, but it is still not where we all would want it to be.
Okay.
So I think by the time we're able to address all this, there would be significant improvement both in terms of affordability and in terms of accessibility. Also, private individuals and private organizations need to come into the health sector. We need to finance. Government cannot handle this alone. Government has a lot on its plate. It has a lot of priorities. And each of these priorities, when you take them, they are important on their own. When you talk about security, when you talk about food security, all sorts. So education. So healthcare system is just one of such things that are extremely important. So private sector and private individuals and establishments need to come in from within the country and outside the country to really fund into fund the healthcare system in Nigeria. That will help significantly improving both affordability and accessibility.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for that. Still on this investment in the health sector, let me come to Dr. Yusuf now. Because, you talked in the earlier on about lack of availability of equipment and, insurance and all that. Now, what investment do you think are actually needed, to strengthen the healthcare infrastructure and resources, especially in Nigeria? And how can medical collaboration help facilitate this type of investment?
Okay, thank you for that question. I will say that why government intervention continue to improve, as the chief medical director said, patients continue to have diseases every day, and the need for interventions continue to exist. So, as individual out of government, we look at bridging the gap before the government intervention. Investment that need to be influenced, as I said, we have an equipment deficit, major equipment deficit, that if they are not available, then there is nothing that can be achieved. Some of these equipment may need to be procured. What I think, which the government is also doing, is to identify select hospitals and make them center of excellence for certain interventions. We can look at oncology interventions, which I think the Minister of Health is already having plans to do, so that in this area, National Hospital is the center of excellence for oncology and maybe urology surgery, so that the equipment needs can be focused in that area, so that we don't duplicate so many and not achieve anything. Then, once the equipments are there, the equipment will not operate themselves. We need manpower. Already training is going on, but training needs to be scaled up. In the year past, the Nigeria Postgraduate Medical College usually have a 1-year foreign exposure for their fellows, which was stopped some years back. We need to bring things like that back.
Okay.
Because even if we invest in equipment, we need people who operate it. So
Manpower.
training at the postgraduate level should be scaled up. It's ongoing, but there need to be more support in that regard. So once you have your basic training, your specialized or super specialty training can be sponsored by the government or any Nigerian who can intervene. So manpower training. And then once you have the equipment, you have the manpower, then the area of insurance needs to be, there is no two-way about it. No country in the whole world achieve sufficient health care coverage without insurance. No, we cannot continue to pay out of pocket. Nobody safe for illness, but it will always come. Accidents do occur. Infectious diseases at primary care level needs to be strengthened, but we need to support the citizen in the form of health insurance. So those three areas, I think we need major investment: equipment, manpower, and then social intervention in terms of insurance. Thank you.
Now Sakina has been actively providing free medical services.
Yeah.
What drives your team, and what challenges have you encountered in doing these outreaches?
Okay, so Sakina Medical Outreach actually started around 2009 as a project of young professionals, doctors and non-doctors, who sees patients in the hospital and who cannot afford. We started by doing individual interventions. What the drive is that we are in the hospital, we see patients that need basic things, but they could not get it. Right. So we came together to say, okay, what can we do at our own level? Like minds, we made contributions, and then we started. We were going to the hospital, identify patients, and then pay their hospital bill. We don't give patient money, but we pay to the hospital directly. If it's a drug, so we were doing that, and then we felt the impact was not so sufficient by doing just individual interventions. Before, we also send patients outside the country for treatment, brain surgery, other surgery, but we look at our impact levels. So it was not so as we want. So we felt, okay, let's go into outreaches. We identify communities and do a diagnosis. What is the major need? In Nigeria, community needs in terms of health is almost the same across the country. So that feeling of we need to do something, and we cannot leave it to the government to do everything, motivate us to come. We discuss to our people of like mind, doctors, nurses, that volunteer free of charge. We don't charge for anything. How do we get funded? The major challenge we had is funding. We appeal to individual. We contribute money ourselves because we also have our own work. So we contribute money. We appeal to good people in the country, and people have contributed to us. We collaborate with institutions just like National Hospital. In the past, we have collaborated with Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta. We have collaborated with Kwara State government so that we will help to equip the General Hospital and the provide service. So we do collaborative services, even locally. So because we know, as I've said before, people continue to get sick. People continue to need intervention, which not because anything of their own fault they could not afford. So while not waiting for government to do everything, we came together and we incorporated our organization in 2017. So Sekina is fully incorporated. And how do we build trust? Because if somebody gives you money, they want to know what you do with their money. So we do biannual report. For this year, by June, this is what we have been raised in terms of funds. This is what we have spent it on. And then at the end of the year, we do annual report so that our people who donate, our donors, know what we are doing with their money. So that has kept us going, because once you see what people have done with your money, you're able to give more. But again, it cannot be enough when you talk in terms of health. Challenges mainly is funding. We have volunteers, we have good Nigerians who are ready to provide their service free of charge. Free of charge. And we have Nigerians who also feel they can help, and they are helping. But funding is the major challenge that we have at Sekina Medical Outreach.
Oh, okay. Funding is the major challenge. I mean, funding has always been the major challenge in most of the sectors of the economy. But let's bring in Dr. Morayo once again. This type of outreaches, let's look at how it will help increase access, to essential healthcare services such as primary care, maternal and child health, and mental health services, from your experience.
Okay, thank you for the question. These outreaches which actually help in providing these services. We've known that Nigeria has one of the worst maternal health indices in the world, in the whole world. So, and this has brought significance into even in Abuja here, that we think is the capital, we still have high maternal deaths. So these outreaches can go, because sometimes the problem is, apart from affordability, accessibility, even reaching the healthcare center is a big issue. Then problem of funding. Then another thing is people are not aware. People are literate, but the health literacy, you'll be shocked when people that you think are literate, when they are talking, they don't have this enough knowledge. So doing these outreaches, you can able to identify those patients that have maybe poor indices. You can be able to educate. You can't do away with a lot of public health. We have to talk to our people, let our people know what are the problem, what are the issue. When you see this, who you should go to. We still have a lot of people still patronizing, maybe because of lack of knowledge, lack of funding, people that are not experts, and they delay. And any delay in treatment leads to a worse outcome. So public knowledge, let it be out there, let people know. When we do outreaches, we talk to people, we involve public health, physician, we talk about maternal mortality, child health, mental health is a big issue now. So awareness is the first thing. Let people be aware that this treatment, they can get it in Nigeria and where they can get it. And then we now talk about accessibility, where they can access these health care. Then we now talk about affordability. That's where insurance that we have been talking about now comes in. No, Nigeria, more than 90% are pay out of pocket. And even the most richest person. Nobody's safe for illnesses. When it comes, it will hit you hard for you to bring out that money to really treat yourself. So, but when people know there's health insurance, when you have any illness, you can always access it. The fear of I don't have the money is not there. You can access it, and people are aware. They know where to get these things, what all these illness is about, and how to afford it. I think it will go a long way in helping our citizens.
You talked about the issue of lack of proper awareness, adequate awareness. So how can we raise that awareness? Are you working with other government agencies to create more awareness, especially at the hard-to-reach areas in the country, the communities and all that, so that they can benefit from these outreaches?
Yes, that's one of the things the Kenya Medical Outreach is doing, and we're collaborating with them with National Hospital. Awareness, even what we're doing now is awareness. People are listening, they know about these things, and then if we go into the community, it will go a long way. People knows about this, we talk to them about personal hygiene, mental health, maternal health, child health. This will go a long way in people being aware, and when you have these kind of illnesses, you know how to assess it. So apart from government, a lot of individuals, a lot of non-governmental organizations need to come into this awareness, let people be aware where they can access the care, how this can be taken care of, and the affordability, how they can, if the health insurance is taken care of, because that's one of the things that determine people, even if they are aware, when they can't afford it, there's nothing they can do. But if they are aware, there is easy access, they are affordable, people will come out and our health indices.
But Dr. Yusuf, have you reached out to the communities with these outreaches? In other words, are you involving, the communities and all that, or is just only in Abuja that this thing is taking place?
No, okay, so thank you. Our main activity actually are in the communities. The major ones that we do on the monthly basis, quarterly. This is the first time we are doing outreach in Abuja, and we have been in the system for 16 years.
Wow.
So most of our interventions are actually community-based. And what do we do when we go to the community? We talk to the leadership of that community, usually maybe Oba, Emir, as the case may be, and then we tell them what is the major health challenge that you have. So we now do like a screening exercise to make a diagnosis of what actually is needed in that community. And when we go there as the day of our outreach, we have a section for health education, so that we identify a day, usually on a Sunday after service. People gather in the community town hall, if there is any, or anywhere that the community provide for us. So I will do health education of what we have already identified is a problem in that community. Then we do blood pressure check, diabetic check, prostate cancer screening, and cervical cancer screening. And then one of the other major aspects is the eye screening. So anybody that we identify with any of the diseases in that community, we take their parameters, and that forms the second stage of our interventions. If you need cataract surgery, you are taken care of on our own bill. So the fear of I cannot afford the treatment is not there. If it is eyeglasses that you need, we provide, and if it is drug, we provide. So most of our activities are actually at the community. But because we know that illness and the way Nigerian health sector is structured, we have the primary, secondary, and tertiary. So we cannot focus on primary intervention at the exclusion of the secondary. Some of our people also need these secondary and tertiary interventions. That's why we scale up. So, and the scaling up has to be more elaborate, need more planning, and need more collaboration. And that's why the lack of National Hospital and the other collaborations outside comes in. Otherwise, most of our intervention are at the community level.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf. Dr. Mahmood, given your experience, what strategies would you say are best to sustain collaborations like this rather than, having them as one-off interventions?
Okay, I think the most important thing is to be realistic. By being realistic is each partner in the collaboration should know his or should know their roles, and then the roles that they know they will be able to sustain long term. Okay, so there's no point a party in the collaboration takes, okay, I'm going to take one whole leap, but you know that you can only probably do it that one off time. So, and you need to start small and keep building. As you are going bit by bit, you may be able to now have confidence from either the community or some certain sponsors. Or in this case, government may also be interested in this and say, okay, fine, with this, if you are doing a beautiful job as something like this, then we will find some source of funding for you. So, you know, when you take it a step at a time, you'll be able to sustain it. And as you go along, you may be able to have other people or other organizations coming into that collaboration because they see that you are really serious and you've been able to sustain it. Secondly, is to ensure that you are able to recruit some more individuals that will participate in the collaboration, that believe in the collaboration. And in almost all the cases that we have collaborated, we ensure that there's a level playing field for anyone who wants to join. For instance, this particular collaboration is supposed to have been a faith-based organization. Both Sakina and the concerned, medics across continents and all. It's a faith-based. So by the time we sat down, we said, look, even though it's a faith-based, we would not run the collaboration as a faith-based program.
Okay.
It has to be something that's level playing for everybody.
And all-encompassing.
So all-encompassing. So by the time we were forming the committee to run that collaboration, we involved everybody from various religions, people from various regions. So that was the first thing to gain confidence. And for it to also have some certain strength of authenticity. So, and when we were running the program, we ensured that the participants in it, the doctors, the nurses that were fully involved, those to be trained are people from all walks of life, people from various religions, people from various regions. What matters is that you are a healthcare giver or you are a healthcare service provider. That's all. Then when it came to recruiting the patients, we also ensured that your name, where you're coming from, your faith didn't matter. All that mattered was that you are a patient and you needed an intervention.
Okay.
So, you see, with that, everyone would have a confidence. You wouldn't know. Amongst these patients that have been treated in this, amongst those that have received 160 cases that are done, one might be in a position one day to sponsor, in fact, a big collaboration like
Just
this,
by
or intervention
alive.
like that, just by staying alive. We have seen so many people who have gained from some certain thing, and then later in life they really become champions of some certain.
And now that government is increasing the budget for health, which you have also acknowledged, what areas do you think should be prioritized?
Well, you know, I've always been a proponent of a scientific approach. You remember each time we have this, I don't believe in just waking up one day to say we should do this, we should do that. We should always do some certain studies first, see where the gaps are. Yes, there are certain areas where gaps are quite glaring, we know, and it may be general all over the country, but there are specific places or regions that might have some certain peculiar needs. For instance, when you say you're going to the northeast, say towards Borno State and Yobe State, whatever it is you need to do, you also have to look at kidney diseases because they have a lot of chronic kidney disease issues. When you say you are going to somewhere like the northwest, because of this insurgency and banditry, you have a number of people that are malnourished. So these pockets of peculiarities needs to be understood. But generally, we need to equip our facilities. We need to increase manpower in various fields, particularly women and child health, and we also need to ensure that the primary health care system is well taken care of and well funded, well equipped. So I think those were the first few things that we need to do. Then subsequently things will take place.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. We have joining us via Zoom Professor Martins Sheriff, consultant urologist, is joining us from the UK. Professor Martins, you're well. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Our conversation actually has been on healthcare coverage through medical collaboration. Can you give us just your experience over there in the UK when we talk about medical collaboration and how such can be replicated here in Nigeria?
I think it's a very good question, and I've just had the opportunity to listen to, I believe that was Professor Rajiv, the Chief Medical Director from National Hospital Abuja. Am I right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
You're correct.
Well, I agree 100% with his remarks. So I am a chairman of a charity known as Medics Across Continents, registered in the UK. We are not a faith-based organization. Although we get our inspiration from the Holy Quran, which says every life matters. Save one life, it is like saving the life of whole humanity. It doesn't talk about your religion, your color, your creed. So it's absolutely essential that we look across what is common between us, across all our religions, and put the value of human life first. And I believe what we did together with Skinner Medical Outreach, the National Hospital Abuja, and there's another partner, a charity called Muslim Charity, registered in the UK. And we have other partners too. We work with the National Health Organization. We work with UN, a variety of other charities. And I believe collaboration is the way. So you don't look at what you have, what's different amongst you. You look at what's common. And I think when it comes to health, this is a major issue, as we all know, around the world. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, we all know. Africa, like Asia, is the future. You have a lot of young people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of health disease challenges. And I believe you need to tackle a variety of different things at the same time. So you've got to get the basics right. And I believe, just like Dr. Rajiv said, you have to have a scientific approach. You have to put the interests of your patients first and nobody else. Not the politicians or anybody else is what matters to the patients. But you need to collaborate and you need to acknowledge innovation. Innovation is not something that's only for the West. I believe innovation using AI technology, minimally invasive technique, which is what we introduced working with our partners at the National Hospital Abuja. We were able to carry out historic procedures that never been done at Abuja National Hospital before. One of them was a keyhole approach, what we call PCNL, where we make a small incision to get into the kidney with stones. Now, kidney disease, as you heard earlier, is a major challenge due to stones that leads to kidney failure. Patients end up being on dialysis, and it's very difficult for them to get a transplant. So PCNL work, rather than making a big cut, is the future. So we've actually trained up in the period that we were there, one of the urologists, and we've actually made a donation of a very expensive equipment so that this will be carried on after we have left. We've also carried out minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery in that period that we were there. You heard there were about 160 interventions in about just under 100 patients, because some of the patients had more than one intervention. And minimally invasive surgery is the future. In fact, the future, which is already here, is robotic surgery. And I have put a proposal to the Chief Medical Director, Professor Rajiv, that you need to embrace, and he has indeed embraced this, minimally invasive surgery. And there should be a National Institute of Minimally Invasive Surgery, and I believe the best place for it is at the National Hospital Abuja. There are now several thousand robots around the world. Africa, in South Africa, there's 2. Egypt has 1. Tunisia has 1. Morocco has 1. Kenya has 1. And believe it or not, even Kigali, Rwanda has a demonstration robot. So robot is not only for the West. Okay, it's for everybody, including Africa. And I believe through collaboration, this is the way forward.
Professor Martins, we'll come back to you. We need to go for a break now. We'll get back to you later. Stay with us.
Is the Naira, while the minor unit is the kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
The business environment, to be honest with you, has been extremely hard on most Nigerian women's businesses. And of course, harsh for a number of reasons. There is no way you would increase or move a subsidy and increase the price of fuel that it doesn't have the counter effect. It has been very challenging for so many women. I know that a lot of them have cried in one way or the other to us to find ways of intervening. But that is not to say that it is all doom and gloom. We will still have a few percentage of women that are thriving in this economy, but we hope that we'll be able to get a larger percentage. One of the things I've seen with even our local purchases now is that people are buying more made in Nigerian options of food, of clothing, and so on and so forth than the imported. So that again is helping some of our industries thrive. Surprisingly, the telecommunications is still doing well, and the reason is very simple. A lot of people are going for online options of skills in terms of training, communications, even remote working. And so you will see that people that provide services around those areas also thrive. But I think at the end of the day, it's about partnerships, collaboration, and influencing power from especially the private sector and even the public sector. But we really need the public sector to drive a number of things, especially policies, because the public sector has the national spread above even whatever we can do in our own small way. What has happened over the years is that even the government, for example, is being pulled from different angles by all these stakeholders. We need to harness ourselves to have strategic focus areas, and we should all be moving in the same direction, not using a competitive approach, but a collaborative approach. Secondly, in collaboration, we need to move with large clusters of decision makers. Instead of, the process of reaching out to individuals is painstakingly long and it takes time. And so we need to engage these stakeholders on a larger platform. I think it's very important to identify where you can get help in your own little way. And one of the things I've realized is that when you operate in silo, it is difficult for you to lift yourself out of the situation. Identify ways you can do what you are doing in a simpler way. And if what you are doing is no more profitable, why not find out what can you do in the meantime that will help you? You need to think outside the box and then connect. What you can do is also identify people and become a cluster to provide a service that ordinarily you cannot do alone.
Welcome to Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis, a TV series dedicated to aging and older persons in Nigeria. Be part of this series and discover the transformative programs crafted to give a new lease of life to our senior citizens, courtesy of the National Senior Citizen Center.
The National Senior Citizen Center is the oasis for the senior citizens.
For thought-provoking discussions on aging, geriatric social care, and issues that matter most to our senior citizens.
Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis.
Silver Oasis. Tune in to Silver Oasis on the network service of the NTA every Saturday at 10:05 p.m. Silver Oasis, improving the quality of lives of senior citizens.
Many thanks for being there. And I would like to stay with Professor Sheriff, if he's still there with us. Prof, would you say that social health insurance is a viable tool for expanding access to health care? And if it is, what lessons can Nigeria learn from other nations, the UK, for instance?
I think it's a good question, and I think it's a model that does work. It works in different parts of other parts of the world. And going back to Rwanda, where I've done some medical work over the years. In fact, I had the pleasure of doing the first kidney transplant there almost 20 years ago at the King Faisal Hospital. Now, they've come up with a system which is exactly that. Everybody has insurance, which is through the government, and that gives them greater access. And I think pushing forward partnership between the private and the public sector is something else that needs to be looked at. So within England, for example, obviously we have a robust National Health Service, which has its own challenges. However, it has now opened up to the private sector. And I think opening up for health partnerships of this type with the private sector, putting the patients first, is definitely the way to go.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Sheriff. Professor Mahmood, what policies, in your opinion, or structural changes are needed to improve the effectiveness of Nigeria's healthcare system overall?
Okay, one, I think I'll go back to that health insurance. That's very, very key and very, very important. We need to find some certain policy to ensure that almost everybody, if not everybody, is on the health insurance. That would increase the funds available to play around with, and it will also give the confidence to Nigerians that wherever it is you are, you will be able to access care. And the second policy is what we have started seeing happening. The government must make intentional moves to ensure that there's adequate funding in the medical facilities, in the healthcare sector. It has started doing that. And we hope that with the commitment we have seen with the President and our Ministers of Health, and even the Budget Office, and even the National Assembly Appropriation Committees, we know that very likely for the next coming years, health sector will be really taken care of. Then the third is also to make a deliberate move to ensure that those people that are trained and are fleeing out of the country are retained, and then our younger ones are trained to fill in or take up the positions of those that eventually would retire or would exit the system. So our educational system also needs to be looked at. Medical training, nursing training, physiotherapy and pharmaceutical trainings, the curricula need to be reviewed. What we are using currently, most especially in our public schools, are actually curricula that have been drafted several years back. Things have changed over the years. Knowledge and life are dynamic. So we need to go with the current state of matters. We need to move along with the world. You heard what Professor Martins was talking about, that high-tech medical service is not in the West, or is not in what you call advanced world. It's even here in Africa. So Nigeria should be a hub for that. Nigeria has the brain power, the human resource to do such kind of things. In Africa, we should play a leading role. So the policymakers need to make a deliberate effort. If only we could find, we have some certain fora where we have the policymakers and healthcare providers sitting together, but this in few areas, and usually there are like summits that are not primarily meant to review the whole of the healthcare system as a whole. I think there should be a summit to address this, so that all the facets can be taken care of.
Because government agencies, they need to work together to ensure effective implementation of all these regulations.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's because we have, there is this lack of synergy, I would say, at times. That's why we see a lot of this. And just like they are saying, each hospital does not have to do everything. If by the time we sit down together, we can agree to say, okay, this particular region will take care of this particular hospital will take care of that. So that would be easier. The government can now focus on one particular region to really sort out some certain issues and fund the
That's what we're talking about, the collaboration.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, Dr. Yusuf, now I want to ask you this question because, we have different professional associations and groups, in the health sector. Now, what role can professional association and advocacy groups, play in promoting medical collaboration, in the country and, for us to be able to achieve the universal health coverage?
Okay, so thank you for the question. The professional organization and association in healthcare, like Nigeria Medical Association, the Pharmaceutical Association of Nigeria, and the Nurses Association, they usually have annual meetings and conventions. As of now, most of these meetings are done individually, and then the issues are discussed. So the doctors discuss their own issue, nurses discuss. I think there should be a coalition of minds that where doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapy, and other paramedics in health sector can have joint discussion, maybe an annual, not government based now, association based, professional based. They have their summit and brainstorm, because the professionals that work in the health sector will see where the gaps are more. They will look, then they can provide solution and come up with a communique that can be forwarded to policymakers to implement. It will be more effective than NMA doing their own, sent to the Ministry of Health, Nurses Association. That may, so that we cannot, it's better to have a package solution, not just identify problem. Identify the problem, provide solution as a joint health professionals, and then forward to the policymaker. What they do with that may not be on our own hands, but we trust that when the things get to the Ministry of Health, get to the legislative arm, or even the executive arm, action will be taken. And that action will be streamlined because it's coming from people who matters in the profession.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf. Dr. Salau, beyond outreaches like this, how do you think the private sector and NGOs, can better support long-term improvements in healthcare?
All right, thank you for the question. The private sector and NGO, they have a long role to play in the healthcare of Nigeria. And if we look at Abuja, there are some big private hospitals that are already doing that. Government alone cannot do this. It can't provide healthcare solutions to our citizens. So when the private hospitals or private health institutions that are big enough that can handle some cases that are actually very technical and highly skilled surgeries or taking care of diseases, it will go a long way in helping the government. Also NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they can go a long way with awareness drive, with providing outreach, with providing succor to our people, our citizens. This will go a long way in solving most of the health situation of the country. Government alone cannot do it. And we can see that some private institutions are already doing that. Some NGO are already doing that. Kudos to them. But we need more so that they can support the government for us to have a robust healthcare coverage for our citizens.
Okay. They need to do more. They need to collaborate and all that. Let's bring in Professor Sharif once again, and we're trying to look at some of the challenges that we may encounter during these collaborative processes. And if you can give us what kind of challenges that you have encountered in your climb there, and how you've been able to tackle it, so that we can learn, here when we are doing such.
I see opportunities. Clearly, there are different ways things are done in different parts of the world. But where you have an agreement on what the end product is, and obviously in this occasion, we are looking at improving the quality of care and also saving lives, you can get through anything. So on this particular mission, yes, we've had some challenges. Challenges in terms of equipment, challenges in terms of some lack of maintenance of certain types of equipment, challenges in terms of patients and their medical conditions. There are all sorts of challenges. But the bottom line is, where there's a will and there's a clearly defined approach, and there's the ability to learn and work as a team, and that's the key thing, you can overcome challenges. But going back to one or two points that were mentioned earlier, if I may, I think I see Nigeria actually being the most populous, definitely, but also technologically, with a young population, one of the top countries that will drive the direction of Africa. So clearly, the largest economy at the moment is South Africa, but Nigeria is not that far behind. There is a lot of talent in the country that I've seen out of experience, both working in the UK. As you know, there's a very large number of expat Nigerians here in the healthcare profession, in all aspects of life, business, and even the leader of the Conservative Party, as you know, is of Nigerian background. So there is a lot of talent, without any doubt, in Nigeria. But I think there's a failure to grasp that talent, if I'm honest. There's a failure of sense of direction from higher up, particularly when it comes to the younger population. When it comes to healthcare, as it was said earlier, we need to embrace technology. Technology is here. It's not just the future. It's already happening in different parts of the world, different parts of Africa. And the way I see technology is that it allows, say, an average doctor to become excellent, and an excellent doctor to maintain excellence for a longer period of time, and increasing efficiency of what you do. So coming back to that, again, this needs collaboration. And you need collaboration between the healthcare profession, the business community, the politicians, all need to come together to embrace that so you can take that forward. So I think the future is potentially bright. Challenges are things we can work out as we go, and they shouldn't deflect you from your main goal. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to stay with him for a moment, Professor Sharif. If you had to give one key recommendation to policymakers here in Nigeria, and that's based on what you now know, regarding healthcare, what would that be? If you have to give one key recommendation to policymakers in healthcare in Nigeria.
Well, my recommendation would be embrace the excellence of your population. There's a lot of talent. Okay, put their interests first and nothing else. Okay, Nigeria has a young population, lots of mineral resources. Potentially, it should be the engine house not just of Africa, but in the top 5, 10 leading countries in the world. And I think, unfortunately, as we all know, there's a lot of corruption in the country. And that's something that needs to be tackled. You have to put the interests of the people that you serve, and they are your voters, the patients, and do whatever you do for their interests, irrespective of who they are, the color, creed, religion. And if you do that, you will end up making history. You will end up winning elections if that's what you want. You will end up obviously saving lives and doing something really quite substantial. So when it comes to policy, unfortunately, it's not just having a good policy. I mean, there are some very good policies within the healthcare profession throughout the world, including Nigeria. But it's the lack of follow-through, lack of implementation of those policies, and then the lack of maintenance of those policies. So if you look at how much budget is allocated to the healthcare, I'm afraid it's just not enough. I mean, the National Hospital Abuja is a premier tertiary referral center. The people who work there are working very hard. The chief medical director is doing the best he can. But what I've seen is that they are restrained because of lack of resources. And there are plenty of resources within Nigeria, but they just need to be allocated appropriately. I mean, if you do not have health, you've got nothing. I mean, there's a famous saying, many a young man spends his youth trying to make wealth and then spends his old age using wealth to regain health. So no health, nothing. So I think the policymakers really do need to focus very hard on the resource allocation. They need to look at bringing in innovation. And I hope that the proposal that I've been discussing will go some way towards fulfilling that vision.
Very much, Professor Sharif, putting the interest of the people first. All right, as we begin to wind up this conversation this morning, Professor Mahmood, let me just ask you, what lesson, have been learned from this successful medical outreach and how can they be applied in future, collaboration?
The lesson is dream and dream big. We should not procrastinate, and we should not be pessimists. Let's always think positively and push our dreams forward. We never know where it will take us. And with this, we have seen this collaboration. Like I said, initially when we were to start, we didn't think that it was going to be this successful, but it turned out to be highly, highly successful.
Okay.
And we now are more resolute to do this. Mind you, this is not the first collaboration we have done. Even within the last couple of weeks at the national months in the National Hospital, we have collaborated also with Concerned Medics Foundation a couple of months ago, where our aim was to bring back Nigerians in diaspora, doctors and other healthcare workers to come back, and we had seen the impact. As of now, the program is running, is sustained. And the beauty about this is government is still keen into it because it has seen the positiveness in it, the impact it will eventually, the ripple effect it would have onto the universal health coverage process that we are trying to work on. So I think also when we need to also ensure that it is something that would be sustained. That's why when we are taking our steps, we need to gauge those steps and be sure that there are steps that we would keep taking. And with each step, with each event, we go a step higher. So I think those are the lessons that I think we have learned.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahmood. And Dr. Yusuf, in a minute, how does Sakina plan to, make such collaborations and outreaches more regular and more impactful?
Okay, thank you. At the end of the last intervention that we did, we had a debriefing among all the collaborators to discuss the challenges that we have faced. And this is what we do at the end of every outreach that we do. So that when we identify the challenges, we look for solutions. Now, going forward, we are going to remain committed to the intervention with National Hospital collaboration and medics across continents. We are also open to other non-governmental organizations and individuals that can support our activities. What we can assure everybody is that we will be transparent. Our motivation is to reach out to the less privileged member of our society, irrespective of their tribe or religion. Now, that is our aim.
Let's have just 30 minutes, 30 seconds from Dr. Morayo now. I mean, from the conversation, your takeaway, what advice would you give to the policymakers?
Okay, my advice would be to continue with collaboration. I think we can't do away with collaboration. With collaboration, everybody brings his own quota to the table and we get the ripple effect and it's more successful. Collaboration within the healthcare workers, collaboration within hospital, collaboration within NGO, collaboration within private public partners. All this will go a long way in improving our healthcare. So that collaboration is key in developing our healthcare solutions in this country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Salawu Morayo, consultant anesthetist, National Hospital Abuja. Thank you very much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
Let me also thank Dr. Ayodeji Salman Yusuf, Chairman, Sakina Medical Outreach and HOD, Department of Neurosurgery at the National Hospital Abuja. It's been a pleasure having you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me.
And Professor Mohammed Raji Mahmood, Chief Medical Director, CMD. Always a pleasure to host you. Thank you for the insights.
Thank you, Victor.
And finally, but by no means the least, let me also thank Professor Martin Sheriff, consultant urologist, who joined us via Zoom from UK. Thank you very much for your perspectives and for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We do hope that you join us again tomorrow for another episode. I am Victor Azul.
And I am Ademolade. Thank you for watching and do have a beautiful day.